everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and we are back with new casting. We have some messages from Lemuria this turn. For those of you who may have missed the end of last episode, Falegra had accidentally sent a message to me instead to Lemuria. And the message was explaining the coalition, etc., etc. And I think they don't have a non-aggression pact with Lemuria. We'll see. I was kind of looking this turn. Yeah, it doesn't look like they did. So it looks like there was a mutual understanding that they didn't have a non-aggression pact. Lemuria had said that Falegra thought they did and was asking to dissolve it with Lemuria, and Lemuria explained that they didn't. But I wasn't sure if that was an agreed upon understanding or if that was just the Lemurian interpretation. So it looks like it was agreed upon. I only have one hope for this turn, that the spirits chain paralyze the Jinn. Scassius will come in for the kill with his special attacks. Another message from Lemuria. The hour of cascading Diplo consequences has arrived. Abyssia canceled their nap with me, with talks of a coalition. They were always the bravest when it came to coalitioning. This is that's actually a... I feel like this should be the tagline, not for Abyssia, but just for... I was thinking of some other players. This should be their tagline. They were the bravest when it comes to coalitioning. The bad news is, as I had them pegged as a this is bad news, as I had them pegged as neutral for now. I still expect Joman, almost sure, no nap, and Ulm, maybe still nap 3, to follow up. I have faint hopes the others will sit it out, but I might be bamboozled again. Can't Throne Rush, so I'll need to find a way to break the coalition apart. I might not have better than delay tactics on most fronts, and picking someone to focus on to knock them out. I expect all the big players left in the game to act rationally and to have some awareness. They might be persuaded or bribed. I hope Joman would be seen as scary enough to cover me for a few more turns, but Lemuria's street cred as an overpowered nation isn't helping. On the bright side, I'm already fighting everyone I can. Start thinking, if I'm already fighting everyone, I can start thinking about Underdark. That's true. For now, still on the Tart research plan, but I'm redirecting my research to prioritize Psalm 7 before Conjuration 9. For Vengeful Waters. Yeah, Vengeful Waters is really good in the late age. There's a lot of little human pajama men mages running around. Vengeful Waters tends to be pretty good against them. And inland, away from any water sources, it's better in Cold Dominion, which is what Lemuria has. So, I don't know. Seems pretty good. Whatever comes now, I'll expect to do a whole lot more defending. I have to end Falegra fast to have a chance. This might include taking more gambles than I'd like. As a spectacular as the first strike was, they still presumably have forts full of stuff. The one thing he's not talking about, which is what Lemuria at this phase in the game should be primarily concerned about, is battlefield wipes. This should be like half of what Lemuria is thinking about. So any CPU cycles devoted to thinking about other things, Message from Abyssia. Ending my nap with Lemuria to join the ghost-busting coalition. I suspect this coalition will hand the game to Joman, but Lemuria is huge and scales well. Hopefully Falegra will hold out, so some of the ghosts stay tied up there. Okay. We'll just go through and watch these. Okay, so this is interesting. Falegra is breaking out with a small crew of mages and priests, but apparently... Hey, where are the troops, Brock? Okay. This is not how you want to do it, ladies and gentlemen. So, let me explain how you kill this whole army without losing anything. You bring maybe a few mages. A few bodyguards. Like, you don't need a ton of troops. These oppressor generals, they are communion master. And you bring some communion slaves, so they get up to a reasonably high path. And you can even do turn 1, like Firefend and or Army of Gold and Firestorm, and you just do that. You can also put Phoenix Pyre on your Communion and all the slaves if you want to. Pretty dangerous, especially when they're all clumped up. But if you have like Army of Gold, it's not as bad because they won't kill each other when they go off. If you do that, and especially if you put some shock resistance, maybe find some way to get luck on them too. You can put up Wrathful Skies, and that'll kill the ghosts even better. And then maybe you kit this guy. He could either be your Communion Master. You put a little thing on him, and he could be the one that casts it because he's going to be the hardest one to kill. Or you could just have him on killing whatever kind of thugs that Lemuria may have embedded in the army. But yeah, with this amount of resources, you should be able to kill this whole army. You know, like I said, you probably want some troops so that they don't completely surround you. So I don't really know what was going on there, but this is obviously not good. When you kill basically the same number of ghosts as you're bringing, like, commanders. Maybe we see it here, though. Lemuria is attacking in Phalegra. And Phalegra's devoting... Okay, so he knows how to cast Firestorm. He might not know how to use Communions. Communions are really scary to newer players. And here you can see Firestorm's cast. Let's watch this again real quick. This console, this Grand Lemur lasted a long time, though. He's casting Soul Slay. Yeah, okay, he doesn't have fire resistance, but he has a decent amount of hit points and some regen. He will still die to... Yeah. Okay. Let's see if he Soul Slayed anybody. Nobody of importance. The other question here, of course, is how did Phalegra handle burning up his own troops? I wasn't really paying attention to that. So he's got Fog Warriors, but I don't think he has fire resistance, yeah. Fog Warriors take some of the edge off. But, you know, he loses some of his Pajama Men here. Loses an Archon. These are cap only, so it kind of sucks losing those. And an Oppressor. Not actually a huge loss for Lemuria. Scouting that he has Firestorm and killing a couple mages. All for this, which is pretty much nothing except for, you know, 3 turns of a Grand Lemur. Actually, pretty good trade for Lemuria. Phalegra using one of their Ryujin up here. This looks kind of clever. A Doomglaive. So I guess we have Skelly spam supported by... Oh, man. The Ryujin managed to retreat, but he got cursed and afflicted by this console with the Doomglaive. And here... Okay, we have Heat from Hell being cast. I think this is an artifact. Yeah, the Unquenched Sword. Loses 2 Shackled Mages. Actually, I wonder if that's Heat Auras. Oh, it's probably actually the Unquenched Sword. See, a lot of people caught on fire. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know if I love that item on armies that don't have all those things. All right, so this is the... Lemuria had sent us a particular message about this. He's trying to kill this Djinn. Got a lot of Grand Lemurs here. I'm expecting to see some cool spells. This doesn't make a tremendous... And what are these guys? They're Phalegran Priests? This guy's been Soul Slayed. Presumably this guy's gonna get Soul Slayed too. So a ton of Wind of Death coming out from Lemuria. That's really scary for Phalegra. Yeah, the silver lining here really is Wind of Deathing his own guys. So there's a bunch of Flagrant Priests. They're all dead. But almost all this was friendly fire from Wind of Death. And doesn't actually get the Djinn. Okay, let's go take a look. Oh, so he storms these forts as well. There was nothing inside. Oh, this was where these guys bust out. We're not seeing Firestorm. Very strange to me. And these guys had busted out here, and then they storm inside. Yeah. I think that's the thing, too. Like, Lemuria is so good at new player games. Because you need to do kind of specific things. You can't really, like, freeform how you're going to kill Lemuria and kind of do whatever you want to. There's, like, specific things you need to do. Like, if you're going to fight Lemuria's Falegra here, like, you really have to have, like, Firestorm every fight. Or other things, right? But, like, yeah, this isn't working. And Lemuria's pretty good in the hands of, like, newer players, too. In Dom 4, they kind of weren't. Like, in Dom 4, their Grand Lemurs and stuff had Dominion immortality, so you couldn't really use them on the offensive, or you had to be really careful about it. So there were more Cloak and Dagger. Here, you just kind of, you just, you know, roll into somebody, and it kind of just, you know, if it doesn't work, it's not a big deal. But, like, the Lemuria graph here is going to be nuts for army size. Yeah, look at that. What did they lose? I guess, oh, this down tick was actually their Wind of Deathing themselves. But you can see, like, if Falegra were to have Firestorm traps set up here, here, and here, which they should have because they have the research, and they should have had the mages. They might not have had enough shackled mages, but it's, you know, kind of on them. If they had done that at all of these locations and Lemuria lost all these armies, that would have actually set Lemuria way back. That would have put probably Lemuria down, I want to say, right here, probably on the army graph, which is significant. You know, Lemuria gets a decent amount of ghost free spawn, like a lot, kind of. But they need it. They don't get like an unlimited amount. And when you start killing these huge chunks of lemurs, it's a pretty big deal. The other thing that's noteworthy is Falegra was all in on defending their capital, but isn't applying any pressure to control, like, the territory war with, like, controlling his land. So I think Falegra's basically out of the game now. This fort's heavily under siege. This army's, you know, slowly making its way, killing their shackled mages, running this way. And, you know, there could be a huge jump here where Lemuria puts in stuff and, like, a Wind of Death trap. Which would probably be a good move. Because we've got a pretty predictable move from Falegra coming over this way. There's a chance Falegra says, no, let's keep Arcos Cap, right? And keep this army, like, in orbit around this. But also, some of this is just good play from Lemuria. Like, we're seeing Lemuria has pretty good understanding of, like, you know, how to raid, take a lot of territory all at once. He's not doing half measures. Falegra, however, whenever they've done these small detachments, they're not very effective. And they're not using any small detachments to maintain control of their land. There's a lot of things you can do with Falegra on the cheap to kind of maintain control of land against the ghosts. Like, you can just have a guy kind of casually summon one big fire elemental and maybe have a few bodyguards or something. And, you know, that'll be good against a single consul or maybe a single Grand Lemur or, you know, a few ghosts. And just doing that is going to apply some pressure to the map so that you don't just give up all of your land, which is basically where we are. Abyssea is going to be going to war. Be interested to see what they do. And with that, let's go ahead and go to the next turn, turn 84. All right, turn 84. Message from Lemuria. And so the Lemuria Thunderdome begins. I'm scraping the bottom of the military barrel to mount a defense on the Satis border after their military buildup, and striking into the north after much hesitation. Luckily, it seems Bogarus has not turned despite my growing paranoia. Surely a hard choice for them to be helping Big Lemuria even indirectly. But they're eyeing Filegrin and Lizardman territory, and we still have a Joman strategic rival in common. I think our interests are strongly aligned. Yeah, he's right. This actually isn't misplay from Bogarus. It's actually, as I was saying, misplay from everybody else for not killing Bogarus. Because Bogarus is small enough, they really care about getting land that has some value rather than keeping the game state in balance. Joman breaking the ceasefire. Big question is their level of commitment. And tend to gain time by giving up territory on both of our borders. I'm planning to make a stand at 16/191 in the east and 30 in the west. Invisible War got hit by flames from the sky for the first time last turn on 8, presumably from Joman. Reports indicate 150 ghosts are missing. Okay. So he's starting to get hit by flames from the sky. That's also a little worrying for Lemuria. Really, it's only worth casting at really big stacks. Yeah. Or if you're going to need it to swing a big battle. Message from Ulm. My invasion of Lemuria begins his turn. Joman seems to have made some early progress, and Lemurian forces are on other fronts. Hopefully I can do much better than my last attempt. Joman is going for tarts. I would have got one myself, but his Purgatory Dominion killed the guy holding the Skullface item I needed. Ooh, that sucks. I'm going to be going to get Demon Lords in a couple of turns anyway instead, so that I have them before Astral Corruption and before they're all claimed. Yeah, Demon Lords really aren't a great value a lot of times, but there's a few of them that are, if you need the paths, they're nice. Not sure what Abyssia is going to do, but hopefully they're also attacking. From Bogarus. Hello, casters. It looks like the big anti-Lemurian coalition has materialized. At this point, I have ended my nap with Filegra in case they get beaten. Filegra's dead. I don't plan any diagonal action right now, but I might vulture a couple provinces. My next goal is eating Satis. In 2 turns, I'll have Army of Gold as well as Firestorm. So this is actually a pretty nice move from Bogarus. They're finding a way to get bigger without actually stabbing the coalition. So this is kind of perfect for them. Because they actually, stabbing the coalition does actually really, really, really hurt, hurt it like a bunch of horror castings and stuff. And that would really throw the game to Lemuria. But it's the kind of like low probability win chance stuff that it's not completely irrational for Bogarus to do. Satis is, however, a much better target. This combination, in addition to major buffs, should be able to kill a lot of chaff. Thunderstrike Air Elementals with the help will help with the rest. I'm hoping that they expose themselves when they fight Lemuria, but I think it's an okay matchup. On another note, I'm preparing for Life After Death conversion to be able to function in case Astral Corruption goes up. Interestingly enough, I think Ulm has been reaching out to these guys about it, so that's probably why he's thinking about it. Interestingly enough, Joman has approached me about some form of combined Life After Death conversions inspired by a YouTube video on Bogarus. This sounds like a bad idea, since I don't want Joman to have the same Astral Corruption resistance. My biggest worry is that Joman can just do a conversion without me. Yeah, which they can. The hard thing is accessing the remote attacks. Filegra, well, this is one of my last turns. GG, folks. Yeah. Dire Portent. Joman casts, it looks like, Gift of Health. Oh, man. Wow, look at this. I hadn't looked at this in a while. Joman having all the globals. I can see why people are still worried about him. Archdevils coming in. So this is good. I like that Ulm's running around with Archdevils. Because Firestorm is very, very spooky. The problem with running around with them, though, is some of these can be... If they're on forts, it's fine. But otherwise, they can be magic phase attacked by, like, consuls, which can reasonably easily kill them. Or, I'm sorry, Grand Lemurs. Yeah, so Ulm's attacking all these places. With a lot of kind of unique summons. I do think, like, newer play... These are good units. I like that he has them. But I think new players tend to overvalue them a bit more. You can see, like, all these armies have, like, special units in them, like Father Ill-Earth. You know, they're, like, collecting all the... I mean, they're using them, so they're not really collecting them, but... And they are really nice to have. But it's just... They're expensive. So... Okay, so there's a lot of things I like about this Ulmish attack. He's locking down forts. This is really important for stopping production, for slowing down Lemurian logistics. One of the scariest things about fighting Lemuria is like, okay, you put a big army here. He can move everything from this fort, 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 and this fort here to defend this, right? So that's like 10 forts that can all move in. I wish he'd been able to lock down this fort too. That would have been great. But doing this is amazing. So he's basically making it. I mean, the only thing here that's a bit of a problem is he doesn't have enough to like one turn pop the fort, which would have been great. Like, I love that he put Pale Ones in here. Pale Ones are great siege chaff. But ideally, he can one turn pop forts. And if he can do that at the same time as he's locking down a ring around them, it really limits Lemuria's ability to reinforce. And it means you might have to fight like a 300 stack, but you're probably not going to fight, you know, like a 900 stack. So all that can be pretty important. We still potentially might see, I think the things to worry about, especially if they're communicating, are like Wind of Death traps, can be a little annoying. The things you do to counter that are like turn one, and this is easy for Ulm to do, but like turn one anti-magic helps, and then once you get regeneration, that also helps, like mass regen. So these are things to think about. There's a lot of troops over here on this side of the Ulmish border, so we'll have to see like where these guys mobilize to. Abyssia is going to be at war, so Lemuria might be a little careful. The other thing too is like, you know, okay, they take this. Let's watch this battle. Felegra not killing a lot of these armies is actually not only a problem because, like, Felegra's going down, but those armies are now free, and they're going to be a lot of the main threat vectors for, like, Ulm. Yeah, these are basically just, like, unsupported mages, and they just can't kill things fast enough. Yeah, I mean, this is not well scripted. But I think Felegra's kind of checked out of this game, given his message. But yeah, I mean, this is part of the problem now, is that there's a huge army here, and there's a huge army here, and Felegra's obviously not going to kill it, so somebody else is going to have to. And, yeah. Ooh, they catch the Drakon over here. Oh, he gets yeeted by Soulslay. The yeah, it looks like he was trying to catch like a Grand Lemur. Maybe he's on cast spells. He's casting Charm and stuff. But yeah, it doesn't work here. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to use the Drakon. Okay, so he moved south, interestingly. He's losing a lot of things I think, oh, this is the stupid heat sword. It's just killing his shit every turn. Oh god, and then a Dione comes in. Oh my god. Look at that guy, what a badass. But yeah, still, just taking its toll on the Mage Corps. He's losing much-needed mages and chaff. And a lot of that's from that stupid sword that he paid a ton of money for. Just because something's an artifact and it's expensive doesn't mean you should buy it. Arco's under siege. Lemuria's... looks like this Joman Ryujin runs. I'm kind of interested to see what he's doing here with the Ryujin. Ooh, air elementals. I like it. That's a good call. Air elementals generally kind of good. The problem here is these guys are ethereal, so it actually takes a good number of tramples to kill them. I think 2 air elementals might have worked. I think ideally you do like 3, but this just isn't enough. Right, so then Raijin probably gets hit by skeletons and runs off. It is not looking good for the forces of everybody but Lemuria. Yeah, I mean, Felegra kind of has just rolled over and died here, guys. And this is the thing. And like, if you don't know how to fight Lemuria very well, Lemuria is the new player crushing nation. Yeah, I mean, it is a good nation in good games, like in advanced player games. So, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is to stop Lemuria, or to, like, win against Lemuria, it's a very technical thing. Like, there's a lot of little tricks and tips and things you have to do well. Not always, but, like, especially at this phase in the game where you're going to be needing to protect basically every province every turn from ghosts. A lot of the new players just aren't going to do that, right? Like they're not actively protecting every province every turn, especially if that requires more than putting a little PD there. And the thing is like ghosts just murder PD, right? So you really have to, and this Lemuria player understands that, right? So they're applying the right amount of map pressure. So I think that's one of the many reasons why Lemuria is very good against less experienced players. So, yeah, the Cold War with Jomon has turned hot again. It's kind of an interesting stack. I wonder what this Ryujin and Master Shugenja is set up for. There's also a lot of Camazotz. These guys are kind of nice just to put on advance and cast, but really we need battlefield wipe sort of things. Where are the Master Shugenjas? Air Elementals? I don't even know what that guy's for. Army of Gold's really nice. This guy might be an Army of Gold caster, okay. I think, honestly, out of everybody I'm looking at so far, I'm liking what Ulm is doing the best. Because this really is the right way to think about fighting Lemuria. You want to lock forts down in a ring. You want to bring stuff with good siege power. The only thing they haven't done is they just don't have quite enough siege power yet, right? And presumably they're going to be doing Firestorm everywhere, too. So I'm expecting good things from Ulm. Of course, there's a lot of ways this can go sideways. Wind of Death is one of them. Wailing Winds is another. But Firestorm and stuff is pretty good against Wailing Winds, at least. And also, Ulm should have pretty good access to Soulslay. So he's got a decent shot of like actually killing Immortals. It's really trivial for him to do anti-magic, which is going to help with Wind of Death and stuff. So yeah, I'm really liking what Ulm's doing. I mean, on the Jomon front, I just don't see... Like, now that Jomon has peace with everybody, we really should see... He's got a few armies down here, which will potentially be able to help. A lot of his armies are not really super well positioned. I guess he's got some here which can help with Lemuria this way. But a lot of his forces down here, where he doesn't really have a great Lemuria border. And really where he needs a lot of stuff is over here, where he needs to put together doom stacks that the ghost can't really touch. And I just don't see a lot of those. There's like kind of one here defending this throne, but it looks like a primarily defensive position, which I think is worrying. It's possible he's thinking more about throne rushing, since we see him providing kind of defense for these thrones, but not really too much on the actual territory. But I think if we look at the province graph too, this is the other thing to keep in mind. Yeah, Lemuria, okay, this was a good turn, I guess, for the Coalition. They brought it down a little bit, but Lemuria is still very much out of control. And I expect with this fort being knocked down, we're going to see Felegra's cap go under siege reasonably soon, too. Though he's probably gonna have to fight into Firestorm, so we'll see. I think that's it for this turn, and we're at 30 minutes, so I think we'll call it for this episode. And we will see you next time. Thank you, guys.